Hey everyone, Nick here and welcome back to Gamerjoob, and welcome back to our Poppy Playtime character concept series. So in today's video, the character we're looking into is Allister Gator. So we're going to this character's backstory, gameplay mechanics, and all that good stuff as well. But before we do any of that, do be sure to leave a like and subscribe to Gamerjoob as it helps a lot and it's greatly appreciated. And as always, just a quick disclaimer that this is not actually what's going to happen in Chapter 4. This is just a fan-made story for entertainment purposes, so keep that in mind and enjoy. But alrighty, with that all out of the way, let's get into the character concept for Allister Gator. So previously in our Poppy Playtime character concept series, we've been looking into the characters from the newly announced Nightmare Critters. All these creepy critters have been out to get the main protagonist. All the characters we've seen so far have been Barber Chops, Icky Licky, and Raby Baby. In the end, the player managed to get away from each of these nightmare critters, but now as they travel further through the factory, they are bound to meet the next critter. Speaking of, let's introduce them now. So the next nightmare critter character we'll be looking at is Allister Gator. This lazy little gator is quite the character. He doesn't do much, and that's the way he likes it. Allister Gator. Allister's an all-round lazy guy. He's chill, sure, but if he could, he'd spend all day in the water doing pretty much nothing. He isn't a fan of the whole put in effort and see that effort rewarded bit. He's much more a believer of the philosophy, good things have to come to me, eventually. I just need to wait around for it. He's still waiting. Scent sandalwood. So as we just read, Allister's one lazy gator. He usually just sits around the factory and doesn't really do anything at all. Most times he'd just stay in one place for hours on end. There's been a couple of times where he stayed in one place for so long he even gathered some dust. But all that changed after the Hour of Joy. Throughout this tragic event, Allister didn't get involved. It wasn't because he cared about the workers. It was mainly because he couldn't be bothered to move or get up. But after all the chaos was over, the prototype wasn't pleased with Allister's lazy performance. They couldn't stand how lazy he was. The fact that he didn't join in and just sat there truly enraged the prototype. So they thought they'd put a little pep in his step. To no one's surprise, Allister Gator was just laying down for the day. The prototype snuck up behind him and injected him with an unknown serum. Allister was so lazy, he didn't even move when the prototype's sharp claws were injecting into his skin. But suddenly, all that laziness disappeared. Allister Gator became much more energized and active. Soon enough, his body started to change as well. In fact, his body couldn't keep up with how rapidly the changes were happening. He became quite disproportionate in his appearance. The main feature being the many sharp teeth that he grew that couldn't even fit inside of his mouth. Now with all this built up energy, Allister Gator was raring to get involved in all the chaos. But the Hour of Joy was already over. There were no more workers left for Allister Gator to attack, so now he's left wandering around the factory in search of any survivors. He's been at it for quite a while now, and he's had no luck. But as soon as he finds the main player, then he'd be ready to try out his new claws and teeth. And our protagonist better prepare themselves because the new Allister Gator will be anything but lazy. Speaking of, we now return back to the player. After escaping Raby Baby's clutches, they now find themselves in a different area. It seems that the power is down at this location, but the player has found the main terminal that will restore all the power. It's a large square with 3 different coloured layers, blue, red, and yellow. These layers are currently switched off. It appears that there's a separate switch for each of these layers that the player needs to activate. Once they do that, the power will be restored. They need power back so they can activate the service elevator. There's a chance that this elevator will transport them out of this area. But they won't know for sure until they board it, so the player sets out to find the first switch. They'll know where they are located if they follow the coloured wires. Each coloured wire will lead to the right switch. As they walk around this area, they can see what looks to be bite marks and scratches everywhere. Wooden crates are filled with holes, and all the walls have deep scratch marks. What on earth could have done this? They would have to have very strong teeth and strong claws. And something tells the player that another nightmare critter is close by. They need to be quick and find these switches. Eventually they locate the red switch. They turn it on, and the red ring in the square lights up. Okay, 1 down, 2 to go. But just before they leave this room, Allister Gator smashes through the wall. The player gets a good look at this monstrous creature that stands before them. He has so many teeth that they can't even fit inside his mouth. His claws are overgrown and look razor sharp. Without hesitation, Allister charges straight towards the player. They make a run for it before they get chomped in half. All throughout the hallways are multiple steam vents. If the player hits them with their GrabPack, then the steam will jet out and slow down Allister. Eventually, if they hit enough of the steam vents, Allister will retreat from taking too much damage. After the chase is over, the player has located the blue switch. They activate it and the blue ring lights up. Now, only the yellow switch is left to go. The player keeps an eye out for Allister. They won't know when he's about to strike again, and when he does, they'll need to be ready. Moments later, Allister Gator makes his return. He's cornered the player in a narrow hallway. As he approaches them, they need to think of an idea and quickly. They notice right above them is a storage hatch. They quickly grab onto it and open it at the last second. Multiple toys come crashing down on Allister. He's buried in a pile of toys and the player takes this chance to quickly get away. Now they've located the yellow switch. Once they switch it on, the final light is lit. The power is restored and the player rushes back to the service elevator. But when they arrive, they can see Allister has destroyed it. He seems proud of what he's done, and he's got the player trapped with nowhere to go. All seems hopeless, but there's still one thing the player can do. They rush back to the power grid and Allister follows after them. If they can get him to attack the glowing power squares, then maybe that could knock him out for good. With the service elevator already destroyed, it was worth a try. Finally, they reach the glowing power grid. They position themselves right in front of it and wait for Allister Gator to attack. He charges right towards them and they leap out of the way at the last second. Allister sinks his teeth and claws into the power grid. Suddenly, all the stored energy starts surging through his body. Bolts of red, blue, and yellow power constantly electrify the angry Gator. And when all was said and done, Allister was fried to a crisp. He won't be going anywhere anytime soon. Finally, the player is safe and they can get away unharmed. But now that the elevator is broken, they'll need to find another way forward. Knowing them, they'll be sure to get out of here. But also knowing their luck, they are bound to run into another nightmare critter. But as to if that will happen, we'll just have to wait and see. So I think that Allister Gator would be a really cool character to see in Poppy Playtime Chapter 4. I think the idea of him being influenced by the prototype and becoming a monstrous creature could be pretty interesting to see. He would hunt down the player relentlessly and never give up until he destroys them. And with him lurking around each corner, this would definitely put a lot of pressure on the player. They would need to do their best to stay alert and activate the power, because if they don't, then Allister's many sharp teeth will be the last thing they see. Alrighty everyone, that's all we have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider leaving a like, commenting, and subscribing, as it helps a lot and it's greatly appreciated. As always, let us know in the comment section down below what you thought of our version of Allister Gator and what you'd like to see going forward. And lastly, just a very big thank you for everyone who watched today's video, and an even bigger thank you to our Gamerjoob members. But alrighty everyone, until our next Poppy Playtime character concept video, I'll catch you later, bye.